Hi everybody and welcome to You OK Hun with Miss Greater Manchester Galaxy. My name's Paige and here we are to talk all things mental health, body positivity, self-care and everything and anything in between. Just want to put a disclaimer out there that I am not a mental health professional. What I am is a mental health advocate, which basically means that I look to inspire and help people in any way that I can, but not in a professional sense. So directing people into the right places, giving people helpful numbers, and if I can give advice, I am more than happy to give advice. But I also look to inspire as well, which basically I, want to share not just my story, but other people's stories as well. I feel like mental health is still quite a taboo subject, and it is something that we do need to kind of normalise because there's so many of us out there that do suffer with mental health, and it's still, people are still scared to speak up. So I want to give people a voice when they feel like that they can't be heard. So, this is the first episode of You OK Hun, which I am so excited about. I've been wanting to do a podcast for so long, but I've always been really scared to kind of put myself out there. So I just kind of thought, with the way that my life is going at the minute, my life is kind of going on and up quite a lot. My confidence is really, really high at the minute. And with obviously having the title of Miss Greater Manchester Galaxy, I just thought that now was probably the perfect time to do it. And you know what? Even if I only help one person throughout doing these podcasts, and that is more than enough for me. I've got some amazing people lined up for these podcasts, people that I'm going to be interviewing, lots of different variety of stories and things like that to share. So I am just so excited to kind of get all of this out there. I'm really, really excited. So let's get cracking with the first episode. So the first episode, I'm not going to be interviewing anybody on this one. It is just going to be kind of my background, why it is that I, do what I do, why it is that I support the things that I support. So for those of you who don't know me, I suffer with bipolar disorder, psychosis and anxiety. So I will just go through kind of a little bit about what each of them is. So bipolar disorder is basically like two states of mind. So there's a manic and a depressive. So the manic is basically where you feel like you're on top of the world. You're just this big bundle of energy. You don't sleep, you don't eat because you're so full of energy. You have kind of impulsive thoughts as well, like wanting to learn how to fly, feeling like you're invincible, feeling like absolutely nothing in the world can stop you. So that's kind of one side of it. And then the other side of it is the depressive, which is basically where you have a very low mood, you're very unmotivated, things like your personal hygiene, your social skills, etc. can just kind of go out of the window. So yeah, that's basically bipolar disorder in a nutshell. Psychosis is, again, that's kind of like two states of mind where you can either hear voices or you can see kind of like figures, shadows, that kind of thing. It's basically seeing things that aren't there. So my psychosis is I basically have a voice that sits on my left side and it's a male voice. I have seen things occasionally, not half as much as I used to hear the voices, but it has happened in the past. So when I've seen things, it's been more like silhouettes and shadows that kind of sit like here. So not like directly in front of my face and not like right to the side, kind of like on an angle. And as I say, they're just kind of like black silhouettes that I have tend to have seen in the past. But the voice, as I say, it sits here on my left side, and it just says really nasty, negative things to you, like, you're fat, you're ugly, you're worthless, you should go kill yourself, all that kind of things. Basically what you would expect like a bully to say to you. That's what I would describe. My voice is basically like a bully to me. Luckily I've not had it for quite a few months now, so I'm hoping it's kind of at bay, but we do have triggers, unfortunately, so it may come back at some point, but I'm really hoping it is at bay because it's been really nice to not get bullied for a little bit. So I started getting poorly when I was about 13, I'd say. I'd always been a bit of a different child. Like, I'd always been kind of like really oversensitive to things, cry a lot more than the average child and whatnot. Like, I did get quite badly bullied for being overly sensitive. But I first started getting really, really ill when I was about 13. And I was under CAMHS, which is the Children and Adolescent Mental Health Units. And they mentioned to me about being bipolar when I was about 14. But I think because of my age, they couldn't really diagnose me at that point. So I didn't actually get diagnosed until I was 17. And that kind of followed from being in a really, really manic state to a really, really depressed state. It was probably the worst one that I ever had because I didn't know how to control it then. I wasn't on any medications or anything like that. So yeah, so that was probably the worst one that I ever had, and that was kind of how I got diagnosed with it. I was under the early intervention team for 3.5 years until I decided to move abroad back in 2017. Came off my medication, moved abroad, and everything was absolutely fine for I'd probably say about a year after that. And then things kind of went on a bit of a slippery slope from then on. I was having like not long manic and depressives, but I was having some whilst being abroad and whilst living away from my family, because between living abroad I also lived in Coventry as well, so I was kind of like flicking backwards and forwards between Menorca, Costa Brava, Lanzarote and Coventry. That's a long story. But yeah, so I was away from kind of all my family, I was on no medication, and there was one day where I had no friends in Coventry whatsoever. I was really, really lonely at one point, and I just kind of thought, I don't know what to do here. So I reached out on Facebook and I just put on my status that I was really, really struggling, and I basically needed somebody to reach out to me. I forgot to mention previously that I did actually cut quite a lot of people off. So I cut off all my friends from back home, I cut off quite a lot of my family, because I was in such a bad state of mind at that point. I just thought the best thing to do is just cut everybody in my life off, and that was basically what I did. But so, sorry, I do tend to go off on a tangent, so I do apologise. So going back to my previous, story, so I did put on Facebook that I was looking, for some help. And I had quite a few people reach out to me. I had family members reach out to me that I hadn't spoken to in probably about 9 months. And that kind of started my road to recovery again. So I went back to the doctor. I got put under the crisis team in Coventry. I went back to them and they put me on medication and told me, you never should have been off your medication. I don't know why your doctors ever took you off it. So they told me, never come off your medication again. This is kind of you for life now. So this was in the October, and then come the December I started to feel alright. I was back talking to people again. I got some of my friends back, I'd got my family back, and yeah, I was in like a bit of a better state of mind. So I didn't stop taking the tablets completely, but what I did was like I'd take 2 and then maybe miss a day, then I'd take 1, then maybe miss 2 days. So I was taking them kind of sporadically, I think is the word. So that kind of sent my brain into a little bit of a frenzy. My brain was a bit like, Paige, what you doing? Like, we don't know how to feel. So I was kind of like going like up and down quite a lot. And then following on from that, at the start of the January, I'd just gone through quite a bad breakup. It kind of came out of nowhere, wasn't expecting it, and I just didn't know what to do. It sent me in such a frenzy that, the voice was probably the loudest it's ever been. Like literally it felt like it was right in my ear hole. It was that loud. And I was in piles of debt. I was in about 15 grand's worth of debt. I lived in Coventry at the time, and I'm from Bolton. So I was in a bit of a state of, what do I do? Because my job's here. So if I move back to Bolton, I'm going to have no job. How am I going to pay my debts? Is anybody even going to want me around? Because obviously I was still quite not new, but obviously I'd not long made up with kind of people back in Bolton. And I didn't know whether anybody would actually want me around. So I did have a bit of a mental breakdown, and I did attempt to take an overdose. Thankfully, I kind of came to my senses at some point and started screaming for help, and I think I rang like the last person that I'd rang in my phone. I can't actually quite remember really what happened. It's all a little bit of a blur that night. But yeah, so I followed having a mental breakdown after that, and I just didn't know what to do. And that is kind of what I'm trying to say with this story, is that is the importance of taking your medication. Just from taking it kind of sporadic, I think that's the right word, sporadically, was kind of like the be all and end all in that situation for me. I feel like if I was taking my medication when I went through that breakup, maybe I wouldn't have reacted the way that I did, but because my brain didn't know what to do, that was the only thing that I could think to do at that point. Because the thing is, I didn't want to die. That wasn't the thing. What I wanted the voices to stop. I wanted my life as I knew it to end. I didn't want my actual life to end. I just wanted my life as it was at that point to end. So taking your medication is such an important thing, and I honestly cannot stress it enough. I used to think that medication wasn't the be all and end all. I thought, oh, it just helps, but it's not it's not the biggest factor. But everybody's different, but for me, the medication is the biggest factor for me, and I am so grateful that doctor has said to me, you've got to be on the medication for the rest of your life, because that is something that will never leave me now. And I'm really, really good with taking my medication now. I'm on olanzapine, which helps with my manics and my voices, and I'm on sertraline, which helps with my depressives. And I cannot tell you that combination of medication, how much it has changed me in a person. Like, I am so confident, I am so happy with the way that I am at the minute, and just being on the medication just really, really helps, and everything kind of falls into place after that. I am able to, don't get me wrong, my life isn't perfect. Like, I still live at home, I don't drive, I'm not on like the best wage or anything like that. But if I look on the positive sides of things, I've got a great relationship with my family. Absolutely love my mum to pieces. The only thing is about the not driving bit, but I will get there eventually. That's a long story. That's actually due to my mental health. That's the reason why I don't drive. I've just done a diploma in event management, so hopefully I'll get there one day. So rather than looking on the negative sides of my life, what I now do is I look on the positives and think, right, well, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm working towards that, and I will get there one day. And, that's all anybody would ask of me, really, that I'm just working towards where I need to be in life. And I cannot say that there is anybody that I know that is where they want to be in life. Everything in life is a stepping stone, and everything we are all working towards. And it's okay to not know where you need to be in life. Like, I'm only 26, and sometimes I feel like I'm old and I should have my life figured out. But I'm still only young. I've still got time to figure this all out. Like, it's not the be all and end all if I'm 30 and I still don't know where I need to be. Like, things are different now compared to like where they used to be. Like, maybe 30, 40 years ago, you're expected to kind of have a family and have kids and everything by my age, whereas now, like, it's not. So basically, sorry, I'm going off a tangent here, but the point of my story is you don't need to be exactly where you need, like, where you think you should be at your point. Like, there is no time scale on life, basically. Sorry, my sash keeps falling down. So that's the mental health side of things, and then we'll just talk about the body positivity side of things as well. So I am a plus size girl. I've probably always been a plus size girl, even as a teenager and as a child. I've always had a belly, I've always had hips, I've always had a bum. Like, I've always been curvy, and I wouldn't call myself fat. I really would not call myself fat. I have fat, I am not fat. So what I basically mean by this is when people say, oh, I'm fat, but you're not. You might have fat on your body, but we all have fat on our body. Like, it is a normal thing. If you have fat on your body, it means that you like food, which, I love food, and I'm not gonna admit that I don't like food. I absolutely love food. I'm trying really my best not to swear on this podcast, and it's proving difficult. So if I do swear, I apologise. But yeah, I'm not unhealthy. I have my bloods done every 6 months because of the medication that I'm on, and it never comes back that there's absolutely anything wrong with me. I've not got diabetes, I've not got anything wrong with my liver or my kidneys or anything like that. I am physically a healthy person. So just because I've got fat doesn't make me any less of a person. And that's why I support body positivity so much, because everybody thinks that you need to look like what the people on Love Island look like, or what the people on Towie look like, or what people on just like on social media in general. And just because you're a certain clothing size, that does not make you any less beautiful than what you are. I'll give you an example. So, for example, I obviously do pageants. I'm the Miss Greater Manchester Galaxy. I have done 3 pageants in the past, over the last 6 years. And most people who do pageants are, absolutely, I mean, everybody is beautiful. But there, quite a lot of them tend to be, on the slimmer side, which is really, really hard when it comes to kind of trying to find a second-hand dress, I might add. But yeah, everybody seems like, most of the girls do tend to be kind of on the slimmer side, which is fantastic. But I am not. I am on the plus size. And I'm not any less beautiful than these other pageant girls just because I'm not your stereotypical pageant queen. And when I say stereotypical pageant queen, it is literally a stereotype. Like, you don't have to look a certain way to be in a pageant anymore. Maybe it used to be back, you know, maybe 20, 30 years ago, I don't know. But, you know, people have actually said to me, oh, you know, you're not a typical pageant queen. You're right, I'm not a typical pageant queen, because there is no typical pageant queen. Every single one of us is beautiful in our own way. We all do absolutely amazing things. We all do amazing things for charity. We all do amazing things for awareness. And we all put ourselves out there the best way that we can. And just because I've got a bit of fat on me doesn't mean that I am any less worthy of any title at all. And it is the exact same for anybody. A clothing size does not define who you are. I don't care whether you're a size 6, a size 16 or a size 24. I still think that you are beautiful no matter what you look like. You know, everybody is beautiful in their own way, and that is a message that I really, really, really try and get across to people. I actually, about 2 years ago, organised a body positivity campaign photo shoot, and oh my god, it was one of the best days ever. Like, I got a range of sizes, so I think I had girls between size 6 to size 18. I would have loved to have get a more wider range of sizes, which I am hoping to do at some point this year. But for kind of like a starting campaign, it was absolutely incredible. And you can just see on the pictures that we're all different shapes, different sizes, different heights, different, you know, we're all just different. But every single one of us in that picture was absolutely beautiful, and the message that we sent across with that campaign and the response that we got from it was amazing. You can see it on my Instagram if you want to have a look, Paige Horrocks X. I will post my Instagram below as well if you do want to have a quick look at that. So I am hoping to organise another one of them this year, because I do think that the message that I'm trying to get across, that being body positive is an amazing thing. You know, there's so many people I know that's like, oh, I wish I had your confidence. When you start to love yourself for the way you are, the way you look, the person that you are, the confidence just starts to shine through from there. Like, I used to be so self-conscious about everything. I'll just give you a bit of a throwback story. So about 6 years ago now, I found this play suit. I wouldn't say that I'm bigger now than what I was then. I was probably maybe about size 14/16 back then. I'm a size 18 to 20 now. And yeah, so I found this play suit, and it was a skin tight play suit, don't get me wrong, but I fell in love with this play suit. And I was going out that weekend, so I bought it, I put it on, and I fell $1,000,000. Like, honestly, I felt so good in that play suit. This is kind of where my body positivity kind of started from there. So I uploaded this picture onto social media. I think I put it on Facebook originally. And I remember maybe 4 statuses being wrote about me that night, saying, oh, she's got horrible friends because they let her go out looking like that. You can see every lump and bump. And I still look back at that picture now and I think, I look absolutely fantastic in that picture. Even if it was 6 years ago, I look amazing in that picture. But I remember those statuses being wrote about me so clearly, and people messaging me like, oh, such a body's wrote this status about you, such a body's wrote this on Facebook about you. And I'm like, but why are they so bothered about the way that like, as long as I feel confident in the way that I'm going out, what does it matter to other people? So from then on, I probably thank these people that actually wrote them statuses about me, because from then on, I've now gotten a mindset of, I do not give a shit what other people think about me. I will wear what I want because I feel good in it, because I feel confident in it, because I feel sexy in it. I will wear these things for me. I don't put my makeup on for anybody else. I don't do my hair for anybody else. I don't buy clothes for the sake of anybody else. I do all of this for me. And once people get in that mindset, honestly, you live such a better life. Like, I cannot tell you how much I live by just loving yourself. And I remember being in school, people used to think that you was like stuck up for loving yourself. But as you get older, you realise that loving yourself is the most important thing in the world. I don't care what anybody says. You've got to love yourself before you can love anybody else. Oh, that's a RuPaul quote. But it's very, very true. You have got to love yourself before you can love anybody else. And that's when, you know, your confidence starts to shine through. That's when you just become who you are. And as you can tell, I'm very, very passionate about this. Just realised I've rambled on for a very long time about this. But yeah, so that's basically why I am so body positive and why I am so confident in myself, because I do just love who I am and the person that, not just the outside but the inside as well. You know, I am a very kind and caring and giving person. Like, I will do anything for everybody as much as I can. So, you know, you can be absolutely beautiful on the outside, but your insides have got to match as well. And I personally think that I have got the both of them. And it's not big-headed to say that, if anybody is thinking that. It's not big-headed at all. It is a good thing to think. So, I have rambled on for a very long time now. So, just to sum up, this is You OK Hun, which is a podcast which we talk about mental health, body positivity, self-care and everything and anything in between. Got some amazing guests lined up, as I've said, and that was a little bit about my background and why it is that, you know, I am the way that I am. You can find me on social media at Paige Horrocks X. I also have a mental health campaign which is called Your Story is Someone Else's Hope. You can find them on Instagram and Facebook as well. But I will also tag the ats in the link where you can watch this. You can find this on your usual podcast provider, and you can also find this on Instagram and YouTube as well. Nearly said TikTok then. I have debated making a TikTok account for this. I might do. We'll see. But thank you so much for listening, everybody, for the first episode. I have probably rambled on a little bit too much, but I think it's a little bit of excitement / nerves. So I hope that it's come across okay. And I hope you tune in for the next episode. Thank you very much, everybody.